say this first. We have been put into a very tough situation with the road district issue, with the township, and bringing it over to the village. We were not part of the group that created this issue, and neither was the township part of the group that was on the other side. We now need to come together, and we need to make this work. And it doesn't mean that we have to get everything our way, and it doesn't mean that the township needs to get everything their way. But this discussion needs to be had, and what we're asking you, Eric, is to take and start developing a IGA that includes the village's verbiage, somewhat of what we had before, and to take the IGA that the township just passed on the 9th of August and blend them together so we work together as a community, and the taxpayers are not burdened by this situation that's been created from two different bodies. We are stuck in the middle to try and figure this out. We're relying upon you to be fair. And in that meeting, when you develop the IGA between the township, or between the village and the township, to include their IGA, and here's what I would like to see happen. I would like you to develop that IGA. I would like you to also take into consideration what they want. If let's say we develop this IGA, and now all of a sudden the next mayor doesn't want to continue with this IGA. I want them to be, I would say we would all want them to get their equipment they need to operate with. So we need to be fair and equitable on both sides and stop this arguing. I know Mayor Yukich and Steve, Mr. Balich and Mr. Portfolio have talked before. There's been no resolution. This has been going on since October of 2020. You guys made the move, or the old village board made the move on December 9th, and nothing has happened since then. And this has created division in the community about what should be done. I believe that we should all look at this when Eric is done putting it together. I would actually like, and you can tell me if we can't do this, I would like to have myself, the mayor, Mr. Ballage, and Mr. Portfolio sit down and hammer this out together if we can.
Sure.
If you think that can't be done, I'd like to hear why now.
I'll let you finish.
So the idea would be to put that together for the benefit of the village on both sides. And then we can put this to rest finally. With that said, I believe the village would be in agreement, or not the village, but the township would be in agreement to the tax levy that they take for the road district would be included in there. I believe before we were not getting that. So I want you to include that in the IGA. Now, the other thing is the amount of miles on the road. At one point, we were told it's 18. At another point, we were told it's 21.3. That will be for you to figure out, please. And the way I understand that can be done is either through the Will County Department of Transportation, and the state of Illinois is required.
Illinois Department.
The other thing I understand is the checks that we'd be talking about that would be coming from the levy from the township would be two different payments. So we need to address that. And I think if we move forward with this, I think that's going to benefit everybody here. We can put the road district thing to sleep or to rest. And now we will have our community working together once again. That was the idea from the beginning, to make everything work between the township and the village. And I will be so happy when this is finally over with and you take care of that.
Well, I think that just to make sure there's some clarification, because I know the initial thought that seemed popular amongst the board at the time and a lot of the residents, but it wasn't popular with the former township supervisor, was that the village would, almost like a swap. Before the township the highway district was taking care of everything, the village stated, we're willing to take care of those, whether it's 18, 21, those unincorporated areas, we would be willing to maintain those as well. And that was soundly put back by the where she said, heck no, and we thought this is a great idea, but
that was then.
Yeah.
This is now.
Exactly.
I think
sure.
the Mr. Portfolio, who's in charge of the road district, has an idea to work out with us, and so does Mr. Ballage. Is Brent Portfolio here? Could you please step up to the podium for any questions that anyone may have? Or couldn't Brent give a little bit, could you mind if Brent talks a little bit? I just want to give you a quick
Can I
history.
just ask a question to Dan really quick? Dan, my question is to you, just clarification. So are you saying, I might have missed the first part you said, so you're saying we take those 18 miles?
Yes.
Okay, you're saying we take those 18 miles, they levy to us?
Easy
Yes.
enough. That's all I was.
I just wanted to make sure I was following with what you were saying. The other thing
I
we
will
have,
let Brent clarify that, though.
okay, all right. I just didn't know what you were
The idea
saying.
is for harmony and to get along and make
Right.
us a village again where
Right.
I have everything operating correctly.
Okay.
Okay, what a long meeting, huh? Okay, I'll try to make it brief. I've met with the mayor and Mr. Walsh in the past to discuss this too. So the road district was formed in 1836. Back 200 years ago, the way that they did taxing for the road district was everybody in the whole township was stuck getting taxed because there weren't a lot of municipal governments back then. So everybody had to get taxed. Now, that was fine back then in rural areas, but as you've seen, I don't know how many of you have seen the township map, 60% of it, I think, or 62% of it is Homer Glen, and I think like 20-some% is Lockport. There's like only 8% that's still unincorporated. So what Mr. DeVivo was trying to do was, you know, kind of go against that. When I talked to him, I briefly talked to him in April before he passed, but he was trying to kind of reverse that. So the first thing that I did when I came in office was I developed an amended IGA because according to the Illinois Highway Code, you can only transfer surplus real estate and real property. So I'm like, okay, well, Mr. DeVivo gave away a lot of stuff, but he didn't leave much back. So I'm like, I just want to correct that, and I wanted to keep the surplus back at the road district. So there was an amended IGA that you guys got, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. That was item H6, I think it was, or something.
From your meeting on the 9th?
No.
Yeah, correct. It was H6. Yeah.
Yeah.
H6, yeah.
Right.
So the amended IGA that we had previously, I got approved by the Township Board and Mr. Balich, Supervisor, and it basically was just giving the surplus back to the road district. That was it. That was it. And I'm like, okay, but now I want to make sure all the municipalities are good with it. So my next step was to approach Homer Glen with it. And from talking to some of the trustees, they're like, hey, Brent, why don't we think outside the box and why don't we have Homer Glen maintain the unincorporated roads? So what that did was that created another IGA, which is the one I think is K3 is talking about, is another version of it. And the best thing about this is, if you look back at the tax levies from the road district, there was a jump of $1.5 million from 2020 to 2021. It went from 3 to 4.5 million. That's ridiculous. And to have everybody absorb that is ridiculous. And I don't want any part of that on the next tax levy that's coming up in December. I want to fix it. You know, we were going along at 2 to 3 million for a while, then all of a sudden it jumped to 4.5. And Homer Glen residents and all the other residents in the township were stuck with that. So what I'm trying to do is correct that tax. And eventually what we ran on was lower taxes and streamlining the road district. Eventually it's going to dissolve. And Christine talked about that before. Right now in Springfield, they have a House bill that says, it hasn't been passed yet, but it's on the floor for vote, that if you have 15 miles or less, that you're automatically dissolved. And if there's more annexations coming from Lockport and Homer Glen, we're gonna go down to 15 quick. So I think that's coming as the village is growing and the city of Lockport's growing, and you know, development is doing pretty well out here. So I'm trying to get ahead of the curve here, and I'm trying to make the taxpayers not have to suffer anymore. So there's a second amendment to the IGA that I want you guys to help me out with and work with me on to help everybody. Now, of course, as far as protection, I have to think about the fact that if there's new mayors or new trustees that don't like the idea, maybe in 4, 6, or 8 years or whatever, they say, wait a minute, we don't want to take care of the road district anymore. I would have absolutely nothing I may be the last highway commissioner, it may be dissolved, but the road district would have nothing left. So as part of this IGA, I'm just saying, as protection, just give me a skeleton group of equipment and facilities, so if something goes wrong,
For a contingency plan,
back. You know,
contingency plan.
yes, yeah, escape clause or whatever you want, exit clause or whatever you want to call it.
Well, that would be basically your IGA that the township just approved through you. That would be the second part of the
Yes.
IGA between the village and the township. That is your safety net, should that happen, correct?
I just want a safety net if something goes wrong, that's all.
Yeah, that would be in the event of.
So I don't know the impacts of this. Now, obviously, at the end of December, there's a tax levy for the road district that has to be sent out. You know, I don't know if there's time to completely eliminate that, or it's going to be a bare bones, but I got to know what I got to do with that, so this IGA has to be kind of developed and approved quickly.
Well, we also have to take into consideration the residents of Homer Glen, that they're not going to be doing this work for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that being said, I would ask that the meeting be a workshop as opposed to just a meeting with one trustee and them. I think that it should be a workshop because there is a lot of confusion here. So have it be a workshop with Steve and Brent and the other Brent and all of the trustees and work on it instead of just one trustee trying to hammer it out.
Can we
Then-
do that in the workshop environment without being in violation of?
Yeah, you would, I mean, you just call it, you'd still be,
What I don't want to do is delay. We've got snow coming, right? And
Yeah, winter's coming.
next thing on the issue is salt, right?
We
So
don't
I
have
don't
a
want to
lot of
delay anything by having this big, we have to call a special meeting between now, I'd like to do it within the next week. That would be ideal, because we have a lot of things coming up. There's the salt issue, you got plow, if we get early ice out there, we have to take care of the issue. So I would like to see it take place between now and a week from now, where we put this together and to the midnight hour if I have to get this hammered out and get it done. I would like to see it on the agenda for September 8th meeting as an action item. Can we do that?
sure, absolutely.
For clarification, that there was a desire to have a meeting next week, a joint meeting with the township and the village board, and then an action item approving this IGA?
Right.
I don't think there's necessarily a joint meeting with the, I think that we're going to have a workshop here, and I think then we're going to have the township supervisor and the highway commissioner can attend as well.
Is there a possibility that the Homer Township trustees, a few of them could make it too? Because I would still like to pass muster with them and make sure it's okay with them. You know, Steve is not a voting member of the township board, he's the supervisor, but, you know what I'm saying? Is it
Yeah,
possible?
we can,
Is that
the
possible?
key is going to be, Steve's going to need to post it, like, it's going to be
Okay.
posting it, you're having a meeting over here.
Okay.
There's a joint meeting together. It can be done, we can make
Okay.
sure we got.
Thank you.
Supervisor Ballage, would you mind coming up? I know you have a couple things to say. If you don't mind, sir.
And Brent explained it pretty good, but I just want to make it clear, as a supervisor, I haven't ruled out anything. And I'm going to say this real loud and clear so that the lawyer over there, when you start making up this IGA, if the township can't be protected with the existing IGA that we just passed, that means that we can't do the roads. We can't do the roads, people are going to get in accidents. And right now, because of ineptness on this board, not moving, I've been trying to negotiate with George since 2 months ago. Winter's coming now, and we do Cedar, Gallagher, 163rd Street, Chicago, Bloomington. I'm going down a list of streets that the township takes care of for the winter. October, we get freezing rain sometimes snow. How many times did it snow on Halloween? We don't have a salt shed because we can't rely on anything from the village. So we're totally left out to say people in unincorporated Homer Township plus Homer Township, because you all use the same roads. You might not have it plowed unless we get this done now, as soon as possible. We're running out of time. And I'm about fed up with it all. because it's a bunch of nonsense. Thank God Mr. Fialko came up with that idea. I got no problem with it, what he's talking about. He came to me and no problem at all. But guess what? I don't trust you guys because I'm nervous. If somebody dies because we couldn't take care of the road, whose fault is it?
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done, George, and I'm ashamed that I have to talk like this in a public forum.
Well, we do have the salt on order.
It's on the agenda.
I think there's not going to be a problem getting a special meeting within the next week.
And you and me talked about this already. I told you we'd do it for free.
George, you can't do it for free, because if you do it for free, the people in Homer Glen have to pay for the unincorporated.
All right.
It's about $750,000. Tell the residents that you want to charge them $750,000 on a tax to do the unincorporated.
Steve,
See how far they
I
are?
sense your urgency, Steve, and I understand. Let's give peace a chance, and we'll put our meeting together, and then we'll hammer it out from there at the midnight hour if we have to, okay?
Like I said before, I think this is the idea that we wanted from the very start when all of this started over a year ago. It really was. And I know it wasn't you.
2 months already. 2 months.
This is the first time that I'm hearing about this change. Hold on, please.
I talked to them for 2 months.
Mr. Balich, please.
I'm getting away, so I'm going to say something nasty.
I don't think it's going to be an issue to get this thing resolved quickly.
Yes. let's
Thank you,
get it done.
Counselor.
Yes.
If I could just,
As we go into this, I want to keep everybody in the back of your mind, the sense of urgency, not only that, but the sense of cooperation. It doesn't mean that we're just going in with it because we're the village and push people around. It means let's be cooperative with each other, let's get the job done, and move forward.
Okay. All right, so the discussion now with the salt?
Brent.
We got it all buttoned up as far as this item, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Matt, you got it on the agenda?
yeah, if we could just talk now, our plan commission meeting for next Thursday is canceled due to lack of items, so Thursday evening is available
That would be
for
good. Next Thursday.
a meeting, if that works for the board.
If
Yeah.
we could set a meeting date now, that'd be great.
Thursday the 2nd, September 2nd?
Oh, I won't be here. I'll have surgery.
Oh, right.
Oh, poor Rosie.
Well, Zoom in.
Rosie.
Yeah, I could Zoom. I could Zoom. There you go.
The second isn't good anyway.
Yeah, I could Zoom.
Is there something on next Wednesday?
Well, we have A&F and Public Servant and Safety. We haven't posted any agendas. Obviously, this is a priority. We could. Well, then Wednesday evening would work.
I'm not available next Thursday
not
night. Is
either.
there a possibility we could do it Wednesday?
Yeah, that's what Wednesday's.
Right, so Wednesday's available now is for that, so if
I
that,
I will be under the knife on
September 1st. Oh, that's Rosie has surgery. Oh, sorry.
Well, what is,
How about Monday, the 30th? I mean, it's faster, it's sooner, it will give us time to get everything on the agenda.
I still can't. I have to go under quarantine.
I think there's meetings on Mondays. here.
Monday, the 30th?
no, there's no meeting on,
I'm not in town next Monday.
Looks like Thursday.
Tuesday, the 31st?
Because I can't make it and Mr. Porfirio
Neither can
can't.
Rosie.
Yeah, I have to be in quarantine from Sunday on. And
So
can't,
you can't be there next week at all, then?
no, not,
Okay.
no.
we could post it as a Zoom
Trustee
meeting.
Reinders, can she just do Zoom with us then?
Yeah, we can set up the Zoom for remote participation,
September 1st.
which is the Wednesday.
That's Wednesday.
No, September 1st is when I have my surgery, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, September, was September 2nd.
Right, that's what I was saying, the Monday.
The second is not
September
available.
2nd is Wednesday.
And
And September 1st is
Commissioner
Wednesday.
Right.
Porfirio can't make it on that
Well,
Thursday.
you're having surgery anyhow, so you can't do it.
Yeah, I'm having surgery on the 1st.
Beth, you're out of town on the 30th, correct?
Huh?
The 30th, yes.
With the 31st, are you out of town?
Tuesday?
I'm out of town on the 30th.
What about the 31st?
I'm in town.
Trustee Consolino, are you available the 31st?
What day of the week is that?
Tuesday?
Yes.
Trustee Laha, are you available? Yes. Mayor Yukich?
Yes.
Eric?
I'm good.
Okay,
Trustee Pazmuno, you're going to give up those tacos.
No more Taco Tuesday. It's worth it. I'll be here.
Nice.
The date again?
Can we cater the meeting?
August 31st. You're in quarantine, but you'll be available on Zoom?
yeah, I could do Zoom. Yeah, I have.
And Trustee Fialko?
August 31st?
Yes, sir.
And time?
August 31st.
I didn't hear.
Is Commissioner Porfirio available on August 31st? Tuesday? And then Mr. Balich had left, but we'll just assume he's available? Oh, and he's awake. Steve, are you available on the 31st? Oh, he's right there. I thought he left.
What time are we?
Just want to make sure, are you available? Okay, what time would you guys like to meet?
What about,
5, 6, 7?
I suggest we
Public
start
Works?
early.
Early. Chris,
I'm sorry?
what about Public Works? Our Public Works?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Woods, are you available? Perfect. Why don't we say, Brent said 6? Is 6 good?
6.
Could we do it at 5? Is everybody okay? I'd like to start earlier than later.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Is 5 okay?
Mr.
Brian?
Portfolio, he's shaking his head no.
No?
5:30?
5:30?
5:30, 5:45?
Okay.
5:30 August.
Auctioneer.
I know, right? Okay.
This is how sausage is made.
August 31st at 5:30 at the Village Hall.
Got it.
Okay. Right, there's something else.
I never did some before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. We're not going to have an executive session tonight. It's
We
been
still got K4.
Yeah, I can,
well, we already talked about the salt.
well, I could provide an update if that.
Yes, that's what we're looking for, is an update on the
Sure.
salt. Thank you, Matt.
So, for some time, the village has been engaged with Frankfurt Township, a co-op that of several townships for road salt purchase. That co-op has run into some issues with timing. They don't plan on going out to bid until the end of next month, so that, for the reasons that Supervisor Ballage had said, we have concerns about that. We also do have about 1,000 tons of salt in our possession currently in the salt dome. So for the first storm, I think we're confident in that ability. Now, Director Woods and Director Salamovich have been working on setting up purchases with other suppliers. We're finalizing the cost estimates of those, or the costs of those purchases, really within the next days or weeks, and would bring that forward to the board, hopefully at one of the September meetings for purchase. So I feel very confident that we will have the necessary salt to prevent any accidents.
Mr. Woods, do you have anything to add to that?
I'd like Matt just to answer one question before Mr. Wood starts, though. There's 2 different styles of salt,
Yes.
and I don't know the percentages that we order in each, but do you have those 2 types of salts? One melts ice quicker than the other, I understand. Do we have both types of salt? And if we do, what percentage is what percentages are we at?
I believe that the salt that we have is all treated in the dome currently, and that is the type of salt that we used last season, or that the road district used last season. It works at a lower temperature.
You're saying
comes at a
the
higher
dome
cost.
that we have already, but the stuff that we just purchased,
Well, we haven't purchased yet, but that will be treated.
that's true. So it's all treated salt.
Yes, last year, the road district used all treated salt and it cut about 15 to 20% of the salt that was used on the roads.
Thank you.
So that salt that we purchased that we don't have yet, that's guaranteed, ready to go, lock and loaded, right?
Not quite, but yes, we have that soon. We are just waiting for the costs to be finalized from the provider.
I would put a sense of urgency to that.
Absolutely, it's definitely a.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting to hear from Mr. Woods. I'm sure you've looked into this.
I did look into it. My third day here, I placed a call to Frankfurt Township to see where we were at on the salt. They advised me they were going out soon to bid. I ordered with them, I verified our order of 3,500 tons, which would account for 1,000 tons for the township as well. And we anticipated storing the township's salt and our salt in the same dome. There should be not a problem with that, because you're not getting all 3,500 at one time. It's coming in separate shipments. So the following week, I wanted to follow up with Frankfurt. I called them again, and they advised me they weren't going out to bid until quote, the end of next month. That puts it a little close for me, so I started reaching out to my contacts from my former employers, worked through the former county commissioner's office as well, And I did secure us a guaranteed spot if we want it on the Cook County contract for salt, which would be with Morton Salt, and they will guarantee us, if none of these others come through, we'll have a contract to present to the board for salt with Morton for treated or untreated, whatever the board desires.
And we can provide those options when we have those prices.
And Morton Salt contacted me today telling me they would have their revised prices for this year under that contract within 2 weeks.
So we could discuss it at September 8th?
That's, provided they get it to me, that's when they tell me they will.
Mr. Woods, just out of curiosity, just for my knowledge, how far in advance in the season do you typically have to order something like this, especially a specialty product that's treated in advance in the season? So is that something you would order like first quarter?
I've done it when my first year in Willow Springs, we didn't wind up doing it until June or July because it hadn't been ordered by the previous administration. Following years, we advertised, we went out, we either latched on to the county or the state's contract, and that's usually done in the early part, the first quarter of the year.
Are we going to be stuck paying a premium?
Not if we go to the county's contract. The county's contract is set already.
And when do they originally set? You said that they're still working on it?
Well, they're working on, every year there's a built-in increase, even when you have a contract with a salt company, there's a built-in increase to account for their cost increases, but it's usually not a huge increase. The last price for Morton Salt for the treated salt was $65 a ton, which is about $20 a ton, I believe, less than we paid, than the township paid this past year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for him? Okay, and then we can discuss the rest of it on the 8th?
You did say that we weren't going to have an executive session, is that correct?
No. We're not
However,
gonna-
I know that it was requested to be on the agenda, so I do have everything here and available. So if any trustees have any questions or would like to meet with you individually, I'm happy to go over everything with them. Okay?
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Eric one question before we leave. When it's asked to be put on executive session, does the mayor have the authority to cancel an executive session when a trustee asks for it to be put on executive session? Or is it something we would have to vote on to take it out of executive session?
Maybe I'm not understanding. You mean as of right now at 10:15 and he's saying we're going to move on, or are you talking about like not having the executive session?
We got it on the agenda to go into executive session.
Right.
Not that I feel like it, but I'm asking about procedure here.
Gotcha.
Is it something that we should be talking about as trustees, whether to take it out of executive session, or is it the ultimate authority of the mayor to be able to do so?
It should be a discussion.
Okay?
And I think that's what he was bringing up, saying that we've had.
No, he just said we're not going into executive session. That's why I asked the question.
Because of the time that we have involved in this tonight.
Jordan, there you could, I understand, but that's not the way it was addressed. So maybe we could address it that way then?
Absolutely. I think the discussion, as the mayor was pointing out, I mean, he not going into executive session and maybe he indicated, I thought, bringing it up at the September meeting, maybe we have less on the agenda so that we have
Put
time.
that past us, so
I'm throwing it out there.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you can switch that over to
So
the 8th.
basically, are we saying, do we have a motion not to go into executive session?
It would just be a motion to adjourn at this point.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
He's made the motion. Trustee Pesmino has made the motion to adjourn.
So do we have,
Second that.
and all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?